fly over Spain, you will see these big figures, circles all over the place, sprinkling water where water shouldn't be to grow double crop. So they are, you've made, what you've done is done, you've exactly reversed it in these four things. So that if I were you, I would do a right and wrong. As I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, look at that.
So let me tell you what I've learned, which has enabled me to decide to remove all of the asphalt. And that is, in a lot of our discussions, Newton, we talk about the edge condition, right?
Exactly.
So we've removed the health of the edge condition, and it's a major limitation on the regeneration of the site.
Exactly.
So in learning that, the next obvious thing to do is to remove the limitation, which is to remove the rest of the asphalt.
Then nature will make its own boundary.
Right. So we have, in terms of like, it's taken, but also what's interesting is that the circles will remain because they're 5 years ahead of the rest of the site. So there's no need for the tarmac circles anymore.
Exactly. Well, pretty nice move.
So I wanted to just show you, like, because this is a picture from Friday, right? I shot this 2 days ago in order to show you, right?
Oh, wonderful.
Where this is at, and then I want to, if it's okay with you, I'm going to screen share a minute to show you well, actually I can just load well, let me screen share for a second so that I can show you the other picture.
See, the other thing that's so interesting about this is you can't do this by calling it out. It is labor intensive. And you have to pay close attention because any move you make is life and death for what lives there.
Exactly. So can you see the image on the screen?
Nope. I can see, I can't see a thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
You shrunk, I shrunk, the big screen grew, and nothing's on it.
Okay. So let me see what that problem is. I'm going to start over. Screen share. Oh, I see what the problem is. I chose whiteboard.
Ooh. Now I have a beautiful basiolith desert drawing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, that's the future. That desert is the future of this place if we're not careful.
So what do you see now?
I'm seeing a bigger version of your.
Yes. So this is slightly.
The detail is beautiful. How did you do this?
With a drone.
Oh, I see. Well.
So Newton, can you see? These are the 4 circles that I've been working with for 5 years, right? And you can see here on this side the beginnings of a 5th. Do you see that kind of crushed asphalt? So this crack was started at the same time as these circles because I wanted to see what would happen if you just crushed the tarmac but didn't remove it, right?
Uh-huh.
And this one, I removed the tarmac, but this became a receiver of all the other broken concrete I removed out of all the other circles, right?
Yep. I remember.
So this one is if you, this one is stage 1, just leave it. And this one is stage 2. So one, and then.
Seeing stage 1 about 3 years ago, and I'm looking at it. Remember when I said life is abundant?
Yes.
There, and I said, here's your evidence.
Yes.
Well, there you are.
So then moving to the 3rd circle, this is the circle that would receive all of the trimmings over time from all of the other circles, right?
Okay.
So this is a compost circle, basically, and you see all the.
It's a Dutch farmer's circle.
Yeah, because I added some fruit trees because of syntropic farming.
Yep,
And I added one of the Owens Valley cottonwoods because this is a circle that I give the most water to, right?
yep.
So the water that I'm getting comes from all of these flat roofs here. We're not on the city grid, right?
Well, yes,
So I'm taking these roofs, and do you see that how there's clusters of green tanks around them? Right here.
yeah, I'm seeing them.
So that water goes to here, right?
Where? Oh, I see, yes, of course.
So the first year it went to establish a pollinator circle, which is here, right? So this is all native plants that pollinators like. And then on the other side here is a very successful producer of biomass, which is called mule fat. And I chose it because when I bring in mules in order to do labor and they poop, this is what they eat. And
That's what we need.
that's what they eat. And
Okay,
right next to that is a food circle for us. So I'm growing one circle that has some food and medicine, another circle that has biomass potential and food for labor, and then this network of circles. And now what I'm gonna do is remove all of this tarmac. Do you see all of this here?
wait a minute, so get your arrow on it. Put your arrow in the middle and I'll understand it.
Do you see my cursor
Yes,
in the
yeah.
middle?
So you're gonna, that's a ton
So
of concrete, Jesus
do you
Christ.
see? So I'm gonna remove all of this tarmac except for a road that will allow for circulation and out to the street. So I'm gonna remove all of this, and I'm gonna remove all of the concrete that's surrounding the circles.
I think,
But I'm worried that I'm gonna lose the clarity of what's going on.
I have to be silent for a minute. Let me be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet for about a minute. I think your weakness here is the narrative. I think you have an explosive narrative embedded in this, and it needs to be discovered and properly articulated. I think this is a potential, absolutely major work of art. And we should be discussing the transaction between circles in a new way. And the aesthetic of these circles will be in their presence. The science of these circles will be in your discoveries. And therefore you can now make the art science claim materially in your own way, as has not been made before. One of the most revealing things about this is how long it takes, and how much it costs. And that has to be said again and again, because when we wreck a place as much as it's wrecked, and you go in and interfere with the wreckage by setting out regeneration, the process of regeneration is extremely expensive and is far more expensive than having not made the mistakes at all. And that's the implicit message in this work. And I think that you have to develop it. And the narrative is important, very, because at a certain moment, this single place will leap out of the map of the city. It's big enough to do that, particularly if you tune it to a restoration along the river banks.
Okay, so this, can I jump in for a second?
Okay, I've done that.
This circle, do you see where my cursor is?
Yeah,
I'm going to load a close-up of that for you because this is an image of the floodplain material that I pulled out from under the concrete
yes.
a year ago. So I've taken a picture to show you a bit close up, but the idea of removing all of the tarmac here and starting to add a moisture layer of mycelium and bacteria and decaying wood is that when I pull the rest of the floodplain material out of the river, I would spread it on top of this whole site, right?
Let me add something here. Must need,
Sorry.
I must put you together.
I'm gonna mute Chomsky.
Enough attention getting.
Chompy.
Wow. I'm pretty enthusiastic, kiddo. Look, it's imperative. I desire you to meet a wonderful ecologist named Bob Perry.
Okay.
Bob Perry helped us design the original work for Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Wash Garden. Perry wrote the book on native plantings for the floodplain. And what you want to do is call him up, ask for his opinion, and ask for him to begin to work with you on who you should invite to be part of this experiment. What species from the floodplain themselves should you, so that this would suddenly become a snapshot of the whole floodplain.
That's exactly, thank you so much for saying that, because when you and I have been talking about this problem of scale of my work, right? What this becomes is a scalable model, right? It both will exist as a living system. It's big enough to do that, but its agency is demonstrating it reveals what already is there under the concrete. Like that circle in the upper right corner, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm just emailing myself that image.
Well, you've been busy as a bee here. Oh, goodness. We got, you pose, you're working out the problems that face about 90% of the art and ecology artists. How do you take a wrecked place, de-wreck it, and manifest that the de-wrecking can transfer itself across a large region? At the same time, a new aesthetic is placed, and at the same time, it becomes an incredible narrative of labor. The amount, if you look at the hours it took to do this,
just to get here is like 5 years of labor by the most capable, like, group of powerful men that I've been collaborating with, who are under the direction of Sal Batista. That is so specialized and unique to have the trust of a full-fledged landscaping team that I've been working with since Not a Cornfield. Same people.
That's wonderful. Well,
but that's why it needs to be articulated so that others can see what's actually involved, because it's not that difficult to replicate.
Yeah, well, it's typical.
So far.
It's difficult to have the thought in the first place. It's difficult as hell to get going, but as everybody can see, but I agree, it's not that difficult to replicate. But the thing is, at a certain moment, what you see oops, go back to that picture again.
Okay, wait. Okay, I just wanted to get the other picture, but yes, hold on, I'm going back. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like, Eleanor Antin did something that I think it has nothing to do with this, but points out something. Eleanor Antin did a piece called Sculpture, where she was overweight, and she took, over the course of a year, she took a picture once a week, losing about 2 pounds a month until she became skinnier. It's very famous work in conceptual terms. Um, Artists have typically documented that kind of stuff. I think it works here. I think you need a picture of this site every 2 weeks or something so that someone gets the notion of the years put in.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a wall of these pictures. And
Yeah.
then I'm seeing you, the artist, walking and making personal notes on all of these pictures. This took me so many years. So that when somebody sees it, they see you at work as well as seeing these.
Yeah.
So that you got to get more personal than normally you do. And so I think you're heading for that on this. And also it should not be lost that we find a picture of agriculture. They're using these same circle, using the water to destroy the land in order to maximize production. So I think that a critique, remind me, I'll find the right picture for you. You'll take a look and see.
I don't want to interrupt the flow, but I do want to show you the close-up of the floodplain.
Okay, next.
But I have to go to my emails, so hold on. Maybe I will, so we can stop screen share for a minute while I find it. Just a number of quick observations about the floodplain a year and a half into taking care of it. One of the interesting things is how much it has subsided. So it's probably a third of its size.
Well, there's a difference between subsidence and shrinkage.
So how can it has shrunk.
True.
So what does that mean? Besides subsidence?
Okay. We have abused this floodplain as much as a floodplain can be abused. We yank oil out of it, we manufacture on it, we cover it with concrete, we do all the rivers, we knock out most of the forest that was once here. There's only remainders in Griffith Park of what it was once like. And so we did all this to this floodplain. So what you're trying to do is sort of like Don Quixote. You're jousting with this dead floodplain, and you're saying, and then you're doing something that's the best thing that us all do, and that is say, I'm not going to accept this. You know, I'm an independent human. You've gone and done this shit, and I'm not accepting it. And here's my beginnings. So I think you're onto something where your ultimate piece has a covert criticism of all manufacture in it and all extraction. Because look at how much work you have to do to change 1,000th of 1%. And I think that needs to be made clear again and again. Oh my God, what's that?
So that's the floodplain. So I photographed this yesterday in order to talk to you about this, right? So this is with adding no water, right? So I wanted to see what would happen if just rainwater and photosynthesis were allowed to happen on the material that's been brought from under the concrete to the surface. And it's sprouting mostly willow.
How interesting.
So willow is the riparian plant of Southern California where there's water. So it must be that the seed bed for the willow is still active in the floodplain material.
Well, this is by the river. This right, you know the rule of thumb. Forests like to come back where forests were, and rivers like to come back where rivers were. because there's something about the growth of a whole river gives dynamism to life in the soil in ways we don't even understand. That's what you're seeing here.
Right. And it's very clear when you compare it. I'm going to go back to the pulled out shot now. So what you're looking at is this circle in the upper far right, right?
Yep.
So look, you can see a fuzz of green on it, but this is only year one. This is what's happened in year one since it's been pulled out of the river. And it had the longest, hottest year on record. We didn't get any rain until December. And I added no water to this.
Interesting, isn't it?
So again, if you look at the edges, how much it's subsided or shrunk, there's now quite a steep slope here between the cut tarmac and the basin. It's creating a new river, right? Around this lower part. So you can sort of see a circle where water is starting to circulate. And the willow is coming up just around that low point.
As it should.
So we can see that here. That's that low point right in here on the top.
Look, this is starting to look like as much like a scientific experiment as it is a work of art. And I think you need, let me ask a question. Do you have people close enough to you who can articulate
the science of it? Yes. I'm working with a soil, an artist who is a grower in Chicago. She's been a really great resource and she can articulate on the science of the soil. I work with somebody who works with trees in urban forests and is a community organizer. And he can definitely talk about the trees. And I work with a mycologist who's working with the fungal layer.
What's missing here, if it's going to go for science, and let's stay with science for a while. I think the art will start to take care of itself as you evolve the narrative and the labor, and the heroic properties of the labor and the diminished properties of the output of this labor. In some ways, I think you need a scientist in there to say, what is the scientific experiment? It is not. It's not. What is the? Where is the discovery? And let's start to go through what you're actually discovering. At a certain moment, if you make a list of your discoveries, then that's where the science will come out of it. And it would be so interesting if this work of art gets authority from the science as well. Let me tell you what happened with me one time so you know why I'm saying this. When I did the endangered meadows, we found something astonishing that we put the 250,000 people come, so it all worked as well. But we had 4 different meadows in 1 acre on a rooftop. After 3 years, there were 160 species. After 3 years, there were 140 species, which is normal, but no plant left its own soil. And so that's where the science came up, and that's where kids were using it in their PhD. And so it was a study of how plants, once they were adapted, don't like to change. And so what we need to do with this is find science of that kind, where your discovery is such that it can be worked with, but nobody has seen it before. Like, I think, I'm not sure where that is, but you see where I'm coming from. What would be very nice is if somebody's writing their PhD thesis from a science point of view on this. I've never had the desire to discuss the science of your work before, but you have laid out the terms here for a serious scientific experiment independent of the art. And you've done something else that I think is quite important, and should move through all kinds of other artists. And that is that the science informs the art. The art in turn enables the science. That's what you've set up here. I don't know how clearly you would articulate it for yourself, but as the stranger seeing it anew, which I am right now, that's what I see. And it's also, these are problems Helen and I struggled with our whole life. This is a very, very complex and clear articulation of that. And what you will discover here and are discovering are stuff that people don't know. And so, let's call a Zoom with 3 or 4 of your scientists sometime, and we'll all sit and talk about how the science of this can be explored, explained, manifest, and put to work.
That would be great. I would so appreciate that. I meet with them each Thursday and Friday. So if you're ever available on a Thursday or Friday afternoon, I would really appreciate bringing them together to talk about this.
Okay, my problem is that Thursday and Friday, Rachel is gone. And so I don't have anybody to help me.
Okay. Well, I can maybe, would a Wednesday work? Because I see them when they're available Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I just usually, I'm with them on Thursday and Friday.
She can do it, and we can just talk.
Hey, dude, you know what? How about when you come visit, we all get together here and talk about it together?
Okay, let me, that's even better. I had intended to drive down on Sunday. I think it's Easter Sunday, but when I was told that, I said that's Easter for you guys, but us Jews, we don't do that. So we're going to drive down on Easter. We should arrive there Sunday night. I can make free Monday morning for a Monday morning meeting on your site.
That's the 5th.
Is that okay?
Wait, I have to look at when I don't know when Easter is, so let me look it up.
Oh, I didn't got pulled out.
Easter 2021 is April 4th. Well, I was planning to be in Owens Valley till Monday the 5th. But I could switch my plans if that's when you're available. Or I could be available on Tuesday the 6th. What's your window? First of all, you're welcome to stay, no problem, at the Highland Park House, if that's where you'd like to stay.
That's not at the Quincy's place, it's the other place.
You can stay either place, they're both available.
Oh, I would prefer Quincy.
No problem.
I have such fun. I liked him so much, and we worked together so hard back
No, it would be a pleasure to host you guys there. So that will be available to you, and I'll connect you guys with our team who will welcome you and things like that.
Okay, here's how I'm seeing it. I have to go. Do you know who David Vermillion is? Vermillion is the curator and director of the Gallery Museum in Irvine, and he has got Getty money to support the initial experimentation with sensorium. Whereas Sezonenko in San Diego has 200,000 already to support our big show down there. So I mean, all of a sudden I'm hot in San Diego, and I got to stagger on down there and pretend I'm so happy to show these early works, which I am not. I have a terror of retrospectives, and I've avoided them all my life. And this woman has forced a retrospective on me, and so I'm doing it. But they had to put up a couple 100,000 to convince me that I would sacrifice this. So I got to go down